So since you have him there and a brush, why don't we start with the question, how is the best way to brush? Well, there's a few different dogs. There was a Yorkie, there was a Husky. So that question came from a few people. So maybe just how to brush different types of coats.
Yeah, this is a slicker brush. Just your normal general slicker brush. And the best way to do a shorter haired dog like him that does have some hair is what you want to do is you want to lift the hair up a little bit and brush little pieces at a time. So you always see a line of skin.
Okay.
No matter where you're going, especially in the longer pieces. And you just go around and not hard, just, normal. And you just brush and always see, so you always see skin. And that way, if there's any mats or anything underneath, you will find them by brushing that way. So up like this. And then what you do is you would take your comb and you would go over the area that you just brushed, because the comb will catch any mats that you might have missed with your brush, with your slicker brush. And that's how you catch the mats. And if there's a mat there, then what you would do is just work on it, bits and pieces at a time. That way you don't have to do, it doesn't get too close to the skin, so the mat irritates the skin and whatnot. So you just take it and you just, little pieces at a time, just to get rid of the mat. And then you work on the mat that way.
Okay, so you would do the same thing for a longer haired dog like a Shih Tzu?
Do that that's what I do, yes. Husky, Collie, Retriever.
One of the questions was also, how can you get rid of a mat without cutting it out or shaving it?
Okay, that's a little more difficult. It all depends on how close the mat is to the skin. If the mat is very close to the skin, then unfortunately, most of the time you have to shave the mat out. Now, what you can do is, so another trick you can do is if you find a mat and you can't get it out with just brushing, what you do is you take your comb and you put it underneath the mat. Now, unfortunately, that way you can possibly separate it with your fingers that way without doing too much damage to the skin underneath. Again, the only thing I can suggest is to just work on the mat with a brush, just very lightly. Try and split it with your fingers if you can, and piece at a time. If you have, sorry, huh?
Would you put like conditioner on it or something first, or just dry hair?
Preferably dry, because once you get a mat wet, it gets tighter and tighter to the skin, so it gets a little harder to work on. If you have a spray-in conditioner, you can do that. Spray it, rub it, and just follow the directions on the bottle itself, and then you can work on it that way. You can do that. There is some detangler you can buy that you spray on that works very well if you have the time. Another thing you can do is, if you have a pair of scissors, you can put it through the mat and just break it up that way, just like that, just through the hair, and then you can break it up and then work on it that way.
Okay.
The tough mats that you really don't.
One of the questions was the types of, like, what type of brush should I use for my Husky when he's shedding? What type of brush should I use for Pomeranian, like longer hair?
You're mostly going to use a slicker brush on all those breeds.
Okay.
And again, it's just the technique of brushing. It's called line brushing, where you bring the hair up and you brush like this. So you're always seeing the line of skin. So you're always brush. Unfortunately, I don't have a dog to show you properly, but literally, that's all you have to do, and then just brush like this. And so you're always seeing a line of skin.
Okay.
For the double-coated dogs, like you said Pomeranian and Husky and whatnot, I will use a rake as well, but I always start with the slicker first and brush it all out. Then I will use the rake, and that will help to take care of the undercoat that's there. So you would use the rake just as you would the slicker. Always go with the hair, and you just go piece at a time, and then that should take care of it like the comb would.
Okay, and could you use like a Furminator in a similar way?
I wouldn't use a Furminator on a Husky.
Okay,
I wouldn't use it on a Pomeranian, but I would on dogs with this type of hair, like a lab coat. Labs, retrievers, something like that on the shorter parts of their body. The longer part, not normally, because I find the Furminator will grab the longer hair and pull it instead of just brush it nicely.
okay.
So I would use it on like this coat. Oh, I lost mine anyway. And stuff like that. Also, this brush, this is another shedding brush I would use for the Huskies and the retrievers and whatnot. And it really helps to take out the top coat of the hair. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, I can.
But that's what I use with him. And I usually do it after a really nice bath, because the bath will help, the warm water bath will help to, not warm, tepid water, would help to loosen the hair that's there ready to come out. So it helps to loosen it all up.
So would you say with like a longer haired dog, like a Shih Tzu or Havanese or something, sort of like human hair where you brush it before the bath so it doesn't get tangled? Would you do that first? Yes,
always brush the dog before the bath. Because like I said earlier, any type of mats that might happen to be in it, or any thick hair that's happened it will be in the dog, you would want to brush that out beforehand so it doesn't tighten up with the water in the bath.
Okay. One of the questions was about Husky shedding. So one was, are de-shedding shampoos like a real thing? Like, do they work? And also, why do they shed handfuls even when it's cold out?
Right now, the weather has been so crazy with warmth and cool and warm, it's warmer than normal for this time of year. And even before the lockdown happened, I've noticed, started in October, that the dogs were just handfuls coming out no matter what type of dog I was grooming. And I believe it's because the weather has been warmer, so the dogs don't really know what to do with their hair. So they got rid of their winter fur, but at the same time, it seems like they don't really want to keep it. Right? It's very strange. Yardley, don't show her your bum. But anyway, that's the only thing I can think of. What the weather has a lot to do with it, along with temperature in the house, has a lot to do with how much hair comes out at what time. The only thing I can say about that, because Huskies do have trouble with that every year, all the time, is just to continue to brush. And I know sometimes it's like you're being defeated because they're just, but if you just continue to brush, it will eventually slow down.
Okay. Questions was how often to bathe your dog.
Once again, that's more of a personal preference. Depending, again, breed is a big thing. I have 2 Sharpays. I will wash them maybe 3 times a year.
Okay.
I have a Doberman who I'll do probably every 2.5 months. And Yardley, I would do him probably every month and a half, 2 months. All depends on the breed, the type of hair, how much, because you don't want to take the oils out of the skin. So too much bathing can do that, which also brings me to the itching part.
Mm-hmm.
If you bathe too much, you can make the oil so that the dog's fur has that they'll get itchy if you bathe them too much.
So it dries out their skin.
It dries the skin, yes, definitely.
Okay. And then I know you said you don't have the shampoo that you recommend on you, but is there like a general type that people could buy just during quarantine to kind of get through it if they needed to?
There are a couple brands out there that work well. I do use Burt's Bees for my own personal dogs. I do love that. They have an anti-itch spray, an anti-itch shampoo. They also have oatmeal. And what I like about Burt's Bees is that it's more of a natural shampoo than it is a chemical-based shampoo. So that helps with their skin and the smell and to keep them cleaner longer.
Okay, and then do you?
Yeah, conditioner as well. Not all dogs need conditioner though, but Yeah, like Jen just said, terriers don't need conditioner
Okay.
because you want that coarse feel for their hair, because that's what a terrier is a coarse type dog. So, but most dogs, yeah, I would do the bathing, then the conditioner. My biggest thing about bathing, though, is when you're doing it at home, make sure when you think you've rinsed your dog out, rinse some more. That's the biggest thing, because you don't want any shampoo or conditioner left in the dog, and it dries on the dog, will make them extremely itchy.
Yes.
I had bought this for my Doberman because my Doberman was very, can you see that?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
That's the stuff that we use, but they also have it in a shampoo and a conditioner. Other thing about shampoo, this is cornstarch. You can use cornstarch or baking soda. And all you do is you just sprinkle it on just a little bit, rub it in, and then you just brush it. And that's a very nice, it really cleans them very well when you don't have shampoo on hand.
Okay. And you have to rinse that out after?
No, that's the best thing about it. You don't put a lot on, and you just rub it in.
Okay. Ooh, I just thought of another question. What about for drying? How important is it to dry your dog? Like,
Actually, believe it or not, it's one of the things that you're taught in the beginning. You should dry your dog as best you can, especially this time of year when it's cooler out. Damp is okay, but again, being winter and whatnot, you certainly want to make sure that your dog doesn't go out even slightly damp. You do want it dry. So even if you're at home, just a normal hair dryer, just away, because these are hotter than a dog grooming hair dryer, away from the dog, and just dry it. Usually, and this will help to take out the undercoat too, the loose hair and whatnot, like in a Husky. This will do that. So this is one of the things that you want to do as well, especially during this time of year, is to dry. Yeah. It's always good just to dry your dog anyway, because you do like I say, you do get all the loose hairs that are in the dog, because the conditioner will help to bring out that hair. So, and that's for you afterward to try and get rid of all that hair. So the drying is one of the things I totally suggest to do. Doesn't matter what time of year, but especially this time of year, you want to make sure they're dry before they go outside.
Awesome.
And just your normal hair dryer will work. It just takes some time. That's all.
Yeah, I'm thinking like we have lots of doodles and stuff. I think that would take a while, but
I betcha. One of the things is you don't want to hold it in one spot and dry one spot at a time. You want to go around, even with brushing, same thing. You want to go around the dog. You don't want to stay in the same spot, because you have the tendency to possibly burn it, either by brushing it or by burning it with the hair dryer. So you don't want to do that. Yeah, you definitely don't want to air dry a doodle, a poodle, anything like that. Even a retriever, you don't want to air dry that. You know, you want to make sure you dry that with a hair dryer for sure.
The questions about the specifics of how to groom. One of them was that a Chihuahua has some longer fluff on her tummy, and I know Nuggie gets this too. Is it bad to cut that in winter?
So long as it's not cut too short, because they're a shorter dog, so that their belly will be going against the snow more often than anybody else's, right? So you don't want to do too much of the cutting underneath. You just want to just take the long pieces off and make it, oh, he doesn't have it, and make it, just look good. You don't want to take too much off though, but when they come in from outside, it's always good to have a towel of some sort just to wipe off the excess snow that's there, and just to so the wet isn't on them.
Yeah, and then they don't get matted.
Right.
What about how to trim the hair that grows out of the paw pads?
Yes, well, certainly we kept that for you too.
Perfect.
That's okay? Okay, so do you see all those long hairs there?
Yeah.
All you want to do is take your scissors and go right against the pad, and then just cut. So you're always flush with the pads.
Okay. Would that be something you could do with clippers if you don't have shears?
You can do it with clippers so long as your clipper is the proper number to do it. Like if I were to shave those pads, I would use a number 10 blade on my clippers.
Okay.
So if you have like a 5-in-1 clipper, that's pretty high tech. If you have a 5-in-1 clipper, you can make it so you can shave the pads, yes. But trimming is very simple. Just flush to the pads and just trim. So that's all you got to do. You don't have to be too intricate with that, you know, but just to get it nice and smooth, you just go around each toe and just like that. And then just around the, hold them up again. And then, well, I wish you would lay down, Yardley. You're so much. Want to come back? No, just turn them this way. I don't know if, yeah, you can, okay. And this part here, like around the big pad here, just go around, just like that.
Okay, so you don't actually go in between?
No, no.
Just use your finger and pull the hair out.
Yeah, if you've got a long hair like a Shih Tzu or something like that, just pull the hair down like this, pull it through, and then trim it that way.
I think it was a Springer the girl has that.
Even better, just trim it that way.
Perfect. And what about the best type or style of clippers for people who are nervous to give their dog a haircut?
Okay, buddy. Now you're talking shaving clippers?
Yes.
Okay. So the best type for nervous people, I would think I would probably have to tell them to start with a cheaper clipper. I've never had any luck with the cheaper ones that were like $60 or something like that. Some people have fantastic time with it. Some people don't. It's one of these if they're going to work or not. Now, I can give them brands and they can look at. I know there's Candace, Oster, and Wall. Those are the top 3 brands that most groomers use. And they are very well. I personally wouldn't go any cheaper than, well, they used to be $100. I don't know what they would be now. But I wouldn't go any cheaper than $100 for clippers, even if I was just home grooming myself, because those clippers would last you the life of your dog and your next one if you're getting another one, right? Like it would last you quite a long time.
And are there different types of clippers that you recommend for different breeds, or is it just the different blades that you put on them?
It's just different blades, yeah.
Okay. So for example, one of the questions was the Pomeranian hair.
Yeah, Pomeranian hair, because they're double coated, it's not recommended to shave Pomeranian. Mostly just a good brushing and then just trimming.
Okay.
With a Pomeranian then, because with the double coated breeds like a Pomeranian, like a Husky, even retrievers, you want that undercoat left in because that's the protection of the elements outside, right? Protection from the heat, protection from the cold, right? It keeps them warm in the winter and cool in the summer, believe it or not. So you don't want to clip that if you don't need to. But if for a double coated dog like a Pomeranian or something like that, if you really wanted to, you would need a good heavy duty clipper that has a very powerful motor to get through that type of hair. So you would have to spend at least 150 or more on clippers or something like that to make it work.
What about for a Yorkie with really fine hair? She had tried just using beard trimmers that her partner had at home, and it wouldn't catch the hair, I guess.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, human hair and animal hair are very different. Probably why those clippers wouldn't work on that hair. Depends on what she wants done. Jen and I usually just use thinning shears or scissors. We don't normally do blades or clipping like that on a Yorkie face because they're usually they like it a little longer on the face anyway. So just scissors and comb and a brush and thinning shears are the only thing I can suggest for something like that. But there's no reason why, stop, buddy. There's no reason why just a cheaper pair of clippers wouldn't work on that because, you know, you can still get those ones from Walmart or Canadian Tire, right, for $60 or something that have the comb set in it, the attachment set. So maybe something like that might work because it is more fine haired on a Yorkie than it is on anything else like a Pomeranian.
Okay, about Bichon hair, how do you cut the afro so it doesn't fall into the eyes?
Pretend he's a Bichon. What you're going to want to do is brush that hair forward. So it's going over the eyes. So pretend it's over his eyes. What you're going to do is you're going to take scissors, if you've got them, you're going to go flush and leave a little space between your scissors and the eye itself. And you're going to go like this around it. Okay. You're not going to go this way. You're not going to slant it like that. It's very hard to fix that when things are back to normal. So don't go this way. You're going to go straight. Trust me. I've seen these things. If you go just straight up and down and you just make it into a dome on your own without going this way. Do you understand? Can you see me?
Yeah, if you could show what not to do a little bit lower, that would be good.
What not to do. Oh, I see what you do. Okay, hold on.
Because when you go up above his head, it's hard to see.
Saw that. Okay. What you don't want to do is aim it backward when you're trimming. Okay, because what happens is then you take off all this hair and then they have a big poof starting here this way. Many times I've seen that. So you want to make it. This is hard to explain.
I know.
So you just want to go like this. Do you see it's flush?
Yeah.
Like when you trim the pads, just flush like this. So you're just going around like this instead of angled towards the back of the head. You don't want to go angled towards the back unless you want a really short top knot.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, you can see.
You can see okay? Ish?
Ish, yeah.
Ish, okay. Now here's his one and only white. Nope, he's got two white nails. And I don't know if you can see, but there's red and then white, and there's a line right there. Well, you don't want to go right back to that line on the white nails because, believe it or not, the quick will grow through the middle of the nails. So if you go back to that, you have a very high chance of making it bleed a little bit. So you only want to go about halfway back to that line before it hits the red. You don't want to go in the red. The red is where all the blood is. And you just take off little pieces. Can you see that or no?
It's a bit tough to see just because, it's a webcam, but I can take some extra pictures if we need to.
1 second. How about that?
That's better.
Can you see that?
Yeah, you can't see the red, but you can see the white.
Okay. See, I'm only taking off a little bit, just like that. And in there, you can see a little bit is starting to get clear in there. And that's where the quick starts. On the white nails is where there you got a little clear thing. And then I don't know if you can see, but you can see that there's still some room that looks like I could cut back on that nail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's that one. Now the black one, you're going to do the exact same thing. What you're going to do is you're just going to take off a little piece at a time. Just little pieces. Okay, and then you start seeing a little bit of white after. Can you see that?
A little bit.
Okay, sorry. And then you take a little bit more off, and then you start seeing a little black inside that white piece. That's what you're looking for. You can make that a little bit bigger. I know, Yardley, so I'm going to do this. Hold on. Hold on. And now it's all black, and that's where the quick is. And if I were to cut that any more, he would bleed.
Okay.
Can you see that?
Yes, you can.
Okay. So that's how you do black nails. You just take off little tips until you see the little black dot inside the white, because the first cut you're going to do, you're going to see white, usually. But you only want to start off with little bits at a time. No, don't follow Mama.
Do you have anything different you do for his dew claws?
No, same thing. Dew claws are a little tougher because they like to curl around that pad that they have. So no, it's pretty much the same way.
Okay.
Dew
And I think the last one I have is the eye goobers. Are there any products or any suggestions for getting those stubborn eye goobers out of there?
Nothing seems to work, but one of the best things you can do is every day, if especially like with Shih Tzus and poodles and dogs that do have weepy eyes, best thing you can do is have their own face cloth. And every day, 2-3 times a day, get warm water on that cloth and put it against their eyes just to rub it. And as you rub it, if there's any gook in that eye, that warm water will help to loosen it out a little bit. That's the only thing I can suggest.
Okay.
I do when I have dogs that come into the shop and they have like tons of eye goober, like Shih Tzus, the ones that I've seen will come in and I just soak it in the bathtub with warm water and just so I can loosen it, and then I'm able to pull it off or pull it apart or pull it away from the eye so I can cut it later on after while we're grooming.
In there, yeah.
Okay.
Take one out.
Now this, we just buy from Walmart. I think it's $2 or $1.98, something, I don't remember. But there's a lot of them in here. There's 100 pads. And and they're just makeup pads, just like this.
Okay. And you just use that to kind of wipe the ears.
You put the product, whatever product you're gonna use. Again, we like Burt's Bees stuff, so.
I don't use Burt's Bees.
Oh, right, we got this other stuff from the vets. Anyway, I'll show you on Yardley's ears. Always shake this stuff. Whatever ear product you're using, shake it before you use it. And you just pour it on just a little bit. And then you go in the ear. And it's very important to go in the folds that are everywhere with your finger, but only use your finger because you can't lose anything if you use your finger.
Mm-hmm.
There's been some terrible, ugly stories, but let me tell you. So anyway, so you go around the folds and whatnot, because there's many folds in a dog's ear, and you come out and this is what you're hoping to see is nothing. And biggest thing is always smell your dog's ear, because that will tell you if there's something deep in there, because there's always an odor if there's going to be some type of infection happening, or, you know, something like that.
Okay.
And use one per ear. That's what I do always.
Yes, we do that in puppy school too, so you don't transfer anything.
Yes. Yeah.
Is there anything that, just from your experience, you feel like you need to share with people who are doing their own grooming at home right now?
No, the only two things would be just, you know, continue to brush your dog, so it's as comfortable as it can be until you can get back to grooming, back to your groomer. Brush, comb, and if you are going to wash your dog, like I say, just make sure when you think you've rinsed it some more, so you don't have any leftover product in the dog.